We can now tell a story of how firms in monopolistically competitive markets have an incentive to innovate, and through innovation generate temporary market power. Such innovation takes the form of finding new ways of differentiating products to meet consumer tastes. As firms innovate, they create some market power, and they can profit from that market power. But they also invite increased competition from new monopolistically competitive firms that imitate the firm and try to meet the same consumer demand. While the innovation creates an initial disequilibrium in the monopolistically competitive market, the increased competition will drive the industry back to a new monopolistically competitive equilibrium. Suppose then that a firm has an idea that meets consumer demand in a monopolistically competitive market better than it is currently being met. Such a firm would face a downward sloping demand curve and a corresponding marginal revenue curve that begins at the same vertical intercept and has twice the slope. In the absence of this new innovation, the average cost curve that includes the fixed entry cost would have been tangent to the demand curve as shown in panel B of graph 26.4. But because the innovation meets consumer demand in a particularly interesting new way, demand has expanded for this firm's product and now lies above the average cost that includes the fixed entry cost. The firm also faces a marginal cost curve, which may be constant or it may be upward sloping as we had assumed in graph 26.4. In fact, it may be that the innovation wasn't on the consumer demand side, so that the demand curve didn't shift, but rather that the firm innovated in a way that reduced its marginal costs below those of firms in the industry. That would lower the average cost curve that was originally tangent to the demand curve to below the demand curve. Innovation can therefore happen either on the cost side or on the product side. As any firm, the firm will then produce a quantity where marginal cost intersects marginal revenue and price the goods so as to sell that quantity. Because the firm has innovated, that price now lies above the average cost that includes the fixed entry cost. So if this firm is currently outside the industry, it can make profit by entering the industry. If, on the other hand, the firm is already operating inside the industry, it is simply increasing the profit it already made by having innovated.